Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, continuing chapter 6 on page 273, in the company of devotees. Wednesday, November 28th, 1883. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, M. was pacing the footpath of the circular road in front of the Lily Cottage, where Keshab Sen lived. He was eagerly awaiting Sri Ramakrishna's arrival. Keshab's illness had taken a serious turn, and there was very little chance of his recovery. Since the master loved Keshab dearly, he was coming from Dakshineswar to see him. About 5 o'clock, a carriage stopped in front of the Lily Cottage, and Sri Ramakrishna got out with Lau and several other devotees, including Rakal. He was received by Keshab's relatives, who led him and the devotees upstairs to the veranda south of the drawing room. The master seated himself on a couch. After a long wait, he became impatient to see Keshab. Keshab's disciples said that he was resting and would be there presently. Sri Ramakrishna became more and more impatient and said to Keshab's disciples, "Look here, what need is there of his coming to me? Why can't I go in and see him?" Prasanna, humbly, "Sir, he will come in a few minutes." "Master, go away. It is you who are making all this fuss. Let me go in." Prasanna began to talk about Keshab in order to divert the master's attention. He said, "Keshab is now an altogether different person. Like you, sir, he talks to the Divine Mother. He hears what the Mother says and laughs and cries." When he was told that Keshab talked to the Divine Mother and laughed and cried, the master became ecstatic. Presently he went into samadhi. It was winter, and the master was wearing a green flannel coat with a shawl thrown over it. He sat straight with his eyes fixed, deep in ecstasy. A long time passed this way. There was no indication of his returning to the normal plane of consciousness. Gradually it became dark. Lamps were lighted in the drawing room, where the master was now to go. While he was slowly coming down to the plane of ordinary consciousness, he was taken there, though with great difficulty. The room was well furnished. At the sight of the furniture, the master muttered to himself, "These things were necessary before, but of what use are they now?" The master was in a state of intense divine intoxication. In the well-lighted room, the Brahmo devotees sat around the master. Latu, Rakal, and M remained near him. He was saying to himself, still filled with divine fervor, "The body and the soul. The body was born and it will die, but for the soul there is no death. It is like the betel nut. When the nut is ripe, it does not stick to the shell. But when it is green, it is difficult to separate it from the shell. After realizing God, one does not identify oneself any more with the body. Then one knows that body and soul are two different things." At this moment, Keshab entered the room. He came through the east door. Those who remembered the man who had preached in the town hall or the Brahmo Samaj temple were shocked to see this skeleton covered with skin. He could hardly stand. He walked holding to the wall for support. With great difficulty he sat down in front of the couch. In the meantime, Sri Ramakrishna got down from the couch and was sitting on the floor. Keshab bowed low before the master and remained in that position a long time, touching the master's feet with his forehead. Then he sat up. Sri Ramakrishna was still in a state of ecstasy. He muttered to himself. He talked to the Divine Mother. Raising his voice, Keshab said, I am here, sir. I am here. He took Sri Ramakrishna's left hand and stroked it gently. But the master was in deep samadhi, completely intoxicated with divine love. A stream of words came from his lips as he talked to himself, and the devotees listened to him spellbound. Master, as long as a man associates himself with upadhis, so long he sees the many, such as Keshab, Prasanna, Amrita, and so on. But on attaining perfect knowledge, he sees only one consciousness everywhere. The same perfect knowledge, again, makes him realize that the one consciousness has become the universe and its living beings and the 24 cosmic principles. But the manifestations of divine power are different in different beings. It is he, undoubtedly, who has become everything. But in some cases there is a greater manifestation than in others. The soul through which God sports is endowed with his special power. The landlord may reside in any part of his mansion, but he is generally to be found in a particular drawing room. The devotee is God's drawing room. God loves to sport in the heart of his devotee. It is there that his special power is manifest. What is the sign of such a devotee? When you see a man doing great works, you may know that God's special power is manifested through him. After realizing God, one sees him in all beings, but his greater manifestation is in man. Again, among men, God manifests himself more clearly in those devotees who are sattvic, in those who have no desire whatever to enjoy woman and gold. Where else can a man of samadhi rest his mind after coming down from the plane of samadhi? That is why he feels the need of seeking the company of pure-hearted devotees endowed with sattva and free from attachment to woman and gold. How else can such a person occupy himself in the relative plane of consciousness? My mother. Who is my mother? Ah, she is the mother of the universe. It is she who creates and preserves the world, who always protects her children, and who grants whatever they desire, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. A true son cannot live away from his mother. The mother knows everything. The child only eats, drinks, and makes merry. He doesn't worry himself about the things of the world. Keshab, yes, sir, it is quite true. While talking, Sri Ramakrishna regained the normal consciousness of the world. With a smile on his face, he conversed with Keshab. The room full of men watched them eagerly and listened to their words. Everybody was amazed to find that neither Keshab nor the master inquired about each other's health. They talked only of God. Master to Keshab, why do members of the Brahmo Samaj dwell so much on God's glories? Is there any great need of repeating such things as, O God, thou hast created the moon, the sun, and the stars? Most people are filled with admiration for the garden only. How few care to see its owner. Who is greater, the garden or its owner? Shall I tell you the truth? Man loves his own riches, and so he thinks that God loves his too. He thinks that God will be pleased if we glorify his riches. Can one ever bring God under control through wealth? He can be tamed only through love. What does he want? Certainly not wealth. He wants from his devotees love, devotion, feeling, discrimination, and renunciation. To Keshab with a smile, Why is it that you are ill? There is a reason for it. Many spiritual emotions have passed through your body. Therefore, it has fallen ill. At the time an emotion is aroused, one understands very little about it. The blow that it delivers to the body is felt only after a long while. I have seen big steamers going by on the Ganges, at the time hardly noticing their passing. But, oh my, what a terrific noise is heard after a while, when the waves splash against the banks. Perhaps a piece of the bank breaks loose and falls into the water. An elephant entering a hut creates havoc within and ultimately shakes it down. The elephant of divine emotion enters the hut of this body and shatters it to pieces. Do you know what actually happens? When a house is on fire, at first a few things inside burn. Then comes the great commotion. Just so, the fire of knowledge at first destroys such enemies of spiritual life as passion, anger, and so forth. Then comes the turn of the ego. And lastly, a violent commotion is seen in the physical frame. You may think that everything is going to be over, but God will not release you as long as the slightest trace of your illness is left. You simply cannot leave the hospital if your name is registered there. As long as the illness is not perfectly cured, the doctor won't give you the permit to go. Why did you register your name in the hospital at all? All laugh. Keshab laughed again and again at the master's allusion to the hospital. Then Sri Ramakrishna spoke of his own illness. Master, to Keshab, Hriday used to say, "Never before have I seen such ecstasy for God, and never before have I seen such illness. I was then seriously ill with stubborn diarrhea. It was as if millions of ants were gnawing at my brain. But all the same, spiritual talk went on day and night. Dr. Rama of Natagore was called in to see me. He found me engaged in spiritual discussion. 'What a madman,' he said. 'Nothing is left of him but a few bones, and still he goes on reasoning like that?' In order to take full advantage of the dew, the gardener moves the soil from the Basra rose down to the very root. The plant thrives better on account of the moisture. Perhaps that is why you too are being shaken to the very root." Keshab and the master laugh. "It may be that you will do tremendous things when you come back. Whenever I heard that you were ill, I became extremely restless. After hearing of your last illness, I used to weep to the Divine Mother in the small hours of the morning. I offered fruits and sweets to the Divine Mother with a prayer for your well-being. The devotees were deeply touched to hear of Sri Ramakrishna's love for Keshab and his solicitude for the Brahmo leader. Master, but this time, to tell the truth, I didn't feel anxious to that extent. Only for 2 or 3 days did I feel a little worried." Keshab's venerable mother came to the east door of the room, the same door through which Keshab had entered. Umanath said aloud to the master, "Sir, here is mother saluting you." Sri Ramakrishna smiled. Umanath said again, "Mother asks you to bless Keshab that he may be cured of his illness." Master, to Keshab's mother, "Please pray to the Divine Mother, who is the bestower of all bliss. She will take away your troubles." To Keshab, "Don't spend long hours in the inner apartments. You will sink down and down in the company of women. You will feel better if you hear only the talk of God." The master uttered these words in a serious voice and then began to laugh like a boy. He said to Keshab, "Let me see your hand." He weighed it playfully like a child. At last he said, "No, your hand is light. Hypocrites have heavy hands." All laugh. Umanath again said to the master from the door, "Mother asks you to bless Keshab." Master gravely, "What can I do? God alone blesses all. Thou dost thine own work, men only call it theirs." God laughs on two occasions. He laughs when two brothers divide land between them. They put a string across the land and say to each other, "This side is mine and that side is yours." God laughs and says to himself, "Why, this whole universe is mine." And about a little clod they say, "This side is mine and that side is yours." God laughs again when the physician says to the mother, weeping bitterly because of her child's desperate illness, "Don't be afraid, mother. I shall cure your child." The physician does not know that no one can save the child if God wills that he should die. All are silent. Just then Keshab was seized with a fit of coughing, which lasted for a long time. The sight of his suffering made everyone sad. He became exhausted and could stay no longer. He bowed low before the master and left the room, holding to the wall as before. Some refreshments had been arranged for the master. Keshab's eldest son was seated near him. Amrita introduced the boy and requested Sri Ramakrishna to bless him. The master said, "It is not given to me to bless anyone." With a sweet smile, he gently stroked the boy's body. Amrita, with a smile, "All right, then do as you please." Master to the devotees, "I cannot say such a thing as, 'May you be healed.' I never ask the Divine Mother to give me the power of healing. I pray to her only for pure love." After partaking of the refreshments, the master was ready to leave. The Brahmo devotees accompanied him to the cab, which was standing in the street. While coming down the stairs, the master noticed that there was no light on the ground floor. He said to Amrita and Keshab's other disciples, "These places should be well lighted. A house without light becomes stricken with poverty. Please see that it doesn't happen again." Then Sri Ramakrishna left for Dakshinaswar with one or two devotees. End of chapter. End of today's reading.